up.
Welcome to the last episode of 2024 of the Hometown Friends podcast. I will always remember this being a year of growth and gratitude. I set out to do a simple podcast about friendship and the uniqueness of these friendly relationships that are formed in our youth and adolescence in the places that we call home. This year, my guests were a mixture of old friends and new connections, and I rambled and I stumbled through the interviews in my attempt to reconnect and share my gratitude and to ask those curious questions about people that I have honed by being a psychologist for the last 25 years. I found that every conversation provided me with an increased understanding of myself and my guests, and I experienced a deeper appreciation of the importance of friendship, identity, and the belonging that comes from being from somewhere and connected to someone. As I came to the end of this year and I contemplated what this project has meant to myself, I also wondered what my guests thought about it and what, if anything, they took away. How was being on the podcast, you guys, and what did you take away from it?
The podcast was cool.
First, just have to say, I love the work you're doing. Love you. Let us know how we can help.
I think that the podcast was a very transformative experience and something that I'll think about for a long time.
Hey, I really enjoyed doing the podcast. I'm getting a bunch of feedback. People are like, oh, I watched your thing. Anyway, now I'm seeing people I didn't know back in the day, and they had similar experiences. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And we also really liked the question of what the relationship means to us. It was
emotional.
Yeah, it was very sweet to be able to actually think about it and verbalize it, because we both know, but we never really talk about it.
I just want to thank you for the gift of being a part of Hometown Friends. It had me really thinking all year about making a new resolution for the next year to reach out to some of those hometown friends.
You came to me and you said you wanted to interview me. I was excited. I was like, yeah, we get to big up, we get to shout out all our homies. I get to reconnect with you.
And really just think about the impact of those relationships and the friendships that I have now for over 30 years. They're really like family. And so I love and appreciate my chosen family and this new stage of getting to know their kids and watching them grow. And my kids also consider those amazing friendships part of our family.
Hey everybody, it's Reese. I just want to take a moment and say thanks to Chandler for having me on his podcast, Hometown Friends. It was a great experience. It was a really easy conversation to have with my friend. It really was significant to me because it showed the strength of our community and the strength of our early developmental childhood friendships. I just wanted to say happy holidays to everybody and really looking forward to an exciting 2025.
I like that, a peek into our friendship, because that is kind of what just happened when we did that podcast, was looking at a little snapshot of us, and that's why, for me, it was super cool, because I can always go back and look at that and be like, oh yeah, that's my man. This is us.
The whole podcast experience was super good. It was just really nice for me to, revisit some of the old memories I shared with Ben and some of my other friends. The questions you asked they allow me to think a lot about how my friendships have impacted me in a special way and how all of the people in my life contribute to who I am and my happiness, and I'm just really happy that I was able to be on the podcast, and I recommend anyone who wants to go on do so.
Just wanted to say real quick, really appreciate Hometown Friends. You have become a really, really good hometown friend kind of after the fact. We have the history, but it's so much better now, and that's one of the big impacts of doing the podcast with you. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for helping me open up and be a little more vulnerable. And one of your colleagues, another expert in the field, my girlfriend Emily, has a few words to say as well.
I love the podcast. I love love everything that it encapsulates about friendship and about community. And anytime you want to bring it over the bridge to Marin, we're ready for you.
I think it's important, and it'd be a nice practice to do going forward with many best friends, and just taking that time to be a little more explicit about the friendship and how much it means and what the things are that we do for each other. And that it never feels that it's for granted, but there's, it's lovely to hear how much that person maybe is in your thoughts during the day, or little things that spur you to think of them.
The other day I was driving in the car, and somebody I grew up with back in Brooklyn, who lives in Texas, 2 hours from me, haven't seen her in over a year, and I was like, I'm gonna pick up the phone and call, and it was exactly what I needed.
It was really nice to just kind of be led through my childhood, pretty much just based on the great questions from Chandler, and just kind of reflect and rehash what me and Dom have been through growing up in Berkeley together. And it was super fun.
Talking with you and Jess was just awesome. My BFF Jess is everything. She means the world to me. How do I put it? If there's some core identities that are formed early on in life, as you've told us, she authenticates that. She reminds me of that. She reflects that. She honors that. She allows that.
Value that which can't be bought, that which can't be paid for. You just listen to the song, right? And it's like friendships, relationships, that's everything. You can have a big old crib, nice ride, money. You can't take it with you, right? The legacy you can, what I talk to my grandson about, what you're gonna leave are relationships. What you're gonna pass on is that real love, that real strength, and that real, I have someone to call. Some lonely ass rich people, but we are rich, we are wealthy, and love and relationships, and I think that's beautiful. We always have that.
The podcast has been such a revelation for me, having grown up in Berkeley, knowing a lot of the people that have been interviewed on the podcast, and being friends with Chandler Hoffman. The insights that people have shown about their seminal relationships, what have really defined them as adults, and how those relationships that they forged early in their lives have really continued to provide meaning and connection in their lives. I've been the recipient of that with so many close friends that I've grown up with in this area and remain friends with to this day.
Got some hometown friends in your hometown, and you see them, big them up, throw a hug in there. Not so much about what you're doing, but who you're doing it with. How's your mom? How's your sister, your brother, cousins that you might have met through some of these hometown friends? And let's start reconnecting with each other, because there's been a lot of disconnect, and we get caught up in our lives and we forget about what's important, and it's us, we're important.
That part of hometown friends, which is that the fact that we are the guardians of memory together. For myself and my long-term friends, we are the keepers of memory. We know the stories, and we, as life moves forward and as we grow older together, we can honor that, cherish that, reflect that, have gratitude for that.
Thank you for the experience of remembering, my roots. got this song just for you, man. And for helping me remember to just reach out and connect with those roots. It was very, very empowering. So appreciate you, man. Much love, and can't wait for season 2. Let's get it.
Thank you. Thanks. Happy New Year.
Thank you for the experience, Chandler, and I look forward to maybe some new connections and relationships that will come from this experience.
Thanks for what you're doing.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yes. Bye.
Yeah. Have a good day, Chandler.
Podcast host was not on my list of dreams when I was a kid. And previous to embarking on this project, I wasn't even sure what I had planned for myself. My mother had just died, and my children were about to fly the coop. And my wife of 26 years was beginning a new career as a yoga therapist. So I took some time and space to look back over my life and reconnect with myself. This reflective period was fueled by morning meditations and a good dose of my own psychotherapy, which helped me see what I'd always known about myself, that my life has always been better because of friends. I realized that making and sustaining friendships was the single most valuable tool that helped me survive and thrive throughout my life, and especially when faced with the many difficult family situations, including my mother's addiction to alcohol. Feeling a part of a larger community and having place attachment to the location I spent my childhood in and then returned to is an essential part of my identity. That last line of the movie Stand By Me, where the author says, "I never had friends later on like the ones I had when I was 12 years old. Jesus, does anyone?" seems to validate that hometown friendships are qualitatively different than other relationships one has in life. I do not believe, however, that these friendships are more important than the ones we make later in life. But I have been researching happiness, longevity, and overall life satisfaction, or eudaimonia, for many years. And the research is clear that those who invest in relationships throughout their lives experience higher levels of satisfaction and well-being. According to the Surgeon General in his 2023 report, Americans are experiencing an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And according to this report, this contributes to a myriad of negative health outcomes, including cardiovascular disease, increased risk of dementia and stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death, similar to that caused by smoking, obesity, or substance abuse. Having social connection is by far one of the most important health indicators, and that sense of belonging that comes from friendship is an extremely important way to invest and address this health crisis. I think this podcast is one small way to center and bring attention and awareness to the stories that define our lives through the acts of friendship. I'm going to continue to interview people in 2025 about where they're from and who they grew up with. And I'm going to invite experts as well to discuss this topic with me. So stay tuned and have a great, happy new year.